Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. A few days ago, it was the former world chess champion Liren's birthday. So today I set up one of his games as a tribute to the world champion. But to be honest, actually, a lot of people haven't been impressed by Ding's performance in the 2024. He has been playing in a few tournaments, and basically all of the tournaments that he had played in, they were not he did not play these tournaments in his best form. And many people think that he has been struggling mentally and he hasn't done well in some of his latest games. Some people they even say they are certain 100% sure that Ding won't be able to hold the title this year, and he'll probably lose the crown to Gukesh. I kind of feel the same because really Ding hasn't been doing well. He hasn't been playing good chess in this year basically. But of course I really want him to defend his title after all, because he is one of my idols. But we can't judge Ding, going back, we can't judge Ding's skills just based on the recent tournament results. Sure, he has after since he won the title, the tournaments that he has been participating at later on aren't it seems like his level or his skills have dropped a little bit, but that's only on the surface, and sometimes we cannot just decide or make a judgment just by looking at something on the surface. And I've also heard that to help him get ready for the World Championship, the Chinese Chess Association actually did a lot. They actually put together a team of top players to train for him, to help him get ready for the World Championship. Apparently at first he struggled to convert winning positions, but after a while this situation got better and he felt he find it easier to win positions, to win positions where he was supposed to win. Before in many tournaments, he had winning positions but find it really difficult to win them, and sometimes drew a winning position or a winning game, or sometimes even lost the game. So we shouldn't just look at the surface, the surface of something. Liren is still a very serious force in the chess world. And hey, I know many from my own experiences that players have ups and downs, just like a roller coaster, because sometimes when you feel like you are in your best form, you played really good chess, but then sometimes you don't know what you're doing, you don't have you cannot control your own thoughts and everything, then you're just playing real bad chess. And also it also has to do something with the tournaments. Different tournaments, you have different kinds of emotions and everything, and different mindsets. So all we can hope for is that this World Championship, the 2024 World Championship match, will be an epic match and bring joy to all of the audiences, all the viewers, which is the most important thing. Alright, now today, before we go into the game, first of all, let's take a look at, so this is Ding's homepage on chess.com. He was born in 1992, so right now he is 32 years old. You can see that he is now ranked world 20, which is actually a little bit low for a world champion, but still he is a world champion. Let's quickly read. Liren is the reigning FIDE World Chess Champion after defeating Grandmaster Lanapo Muniachi in the 2023 World Championship. Like most world champions, a combination of dominance and close calls have defined Ding's career leading up to winning the title. Ding won his first Chinese chess champion at the age of 16, making him the youngest to ever do so. In the 2017 and 2019 Chess World Cup, he became the first player in history to reach the finals twice in a row. His 3 Chinese titles are joined by 2 team gold medals and 1 individual gold medal at the Chess Olympiads, plus 1 team gold medal at the World Team Championship. From August 2017 to November 2018, Ding held a 100-game unbeaten streak in top-level chess competition, the longest in history until Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen broke it in October 2019. In 2018, Ding entered the world's top 5 chess players, May, so that is in May, and broke the 2800 rating mark September, and he remains in those categories today. This is like in his early stage, youth and early chess career, which was in 1996 to 2008. Ding was born in Wenzhou, a city in the southeastern Zhejiang province of China. The city has a rich chess history. It's also where former women's world chess champion Grandmaster Zhu Chen is from. Actually, this is like, she is not the former women's world championship, because like this article is written a few years ago. Like some of its like information is still from the past. When Ding was 4 years old, his mother took him to a chess club in Wenzhou. He studied chess there and had the same starting coaches that Zhu had, including his first coach, Chen Lixing, who's famous in the Wenzhou Chess Association. Ding was successful in early competitions. As a teenager, he regularly participated in and won a strong tournament for his age groups in the Liren Cup. He also competed on a world stage. In November 2003 and November 2004, he tied for first at the U10 World Youth Championship and U12 World Youth Championship, respectively. Ding finished second on tiebreaks in both events. Actually, here, if you guys can take a look at like this one, the Liren Cup, I've also participated in this tournament as well when I was like 12 years old, or right now I'm 13. So I think like last year I participated in this tournament in the women's section, like in the U12 section, and I was actually 7. It was actually a pretty hard tournament to play in. And Ding, you can see that he won. He got first place actually in his age group in this cup, so it's really strong for him. All right, now let's take a look at capturing Chinese chess and grandmaster titles 2009 to 2016. Ding had his breakout year in 2009 at only 16 years of age. The Chinese Phenom proved that he was a world-class chess player. It all happened in one event of the 2000 Chinese Chess Championship. The field consisted of 12 players, 10 were grandmasters, and the 3 at the top of the field, Grandmaster Nihua, Bu Xiangzhi, and Wang Hao, were near or above the 2700 rating threshold. Ding was one of 2 in the field without a grandmaster title, and he had the second lowest rating of all participants. Ding had a miraculous tournament. He went undefeated, scoring 8.5 points out of 11 and beating 2 of the highest rated players in the event, Wang and Ni. Ding's tournament performance rating was a staggering 2811. This was his game played against Nihua, but this is not the game that we'll be taking a look at today. After that win meant that Ding, at 16 years old, was the youngest to ever win the Chinese national championship. His performance at the tournament also gave Ding the final grandmaster norm needed for the prominent chess title. In one event, Ding became a national champion and a grandmaster. He officially received the title in October 2009, 2 weeks before his 17th birthday. Alright, this is what basically like the most important thing that happened during this stage, like 2009 to 2016. Now let's read on to where it's qualifying for Canada's tournaments. 2017 to 2019. Early in 2017, Ding won the Shenzhen Longgang Chess Masters in Shenzhen, China. He finished 6.5 points out of 10 points and 1 point ahead of both Geary and Grandmaster Peter Svidler, who shared second place. Then in May, Ding won the Moscow Grand Prix over Grandmaster Shakira Mamedyarov and a field including 9 players rated at least 2750. Most notable was Ding's performance in the 2017 FIDE World Cup. The 11th ranked Chinese player had a strong tournament, reaching the finals of the 128 player tournament after taking out second ranked So it's Wesley So in the semifinals. Ding faced Grandmaster Levon Aronian in the finals, and after 4 draws in the classical portion of the match, Aronian edged Ding in rapid tiebreaks 2-0. Now, Actually, I can't show you guys this video because right now I can't open my VPN because there's something wrong with my computer today, so I can't open the VPN, which means that we cannot take a look at this video. But anyways, we can still read on. So basically this is what happened. You guys can quickly scan it. And now, in 2019, Ding had one of his most impressive tournaments at the 2019 Sinquefield Cup in a field that featured 12 top-level players. The lowest rated player with only one under 2750 was Nakamura. Ding went undefeated with 6.5 points. 11 out of 11 points, and a tournament performance rating of 2845. He tied with Carlsen for first place, and the two played a blitz playoff match with Ding winning both games. Ding was the first player to beat Carlsen in tiebreak games since Aronian did it in 2007. And this is the game that was played in that tournament, 2019, the Grand Chess Tour Sinquefield Cup. And this is the game that we'll be taking a look at today. Here, Magnus is white and Ding is black. Let's take a look at this game on Ding's point of view. Alright, now, Carlsen started with e4 and Ding replied with e5. The king's pawn opening, and after knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, we can see that this is the rule opus. a6, bishop a4, knight f6, short castle, bishop e7. Like basically everyone knows what the rule opus is, so nothing no comments about this opening. It's just the most common opening played in the world, basically, and especially in high level chess, because this opening is actually really a positional. It can't be aggressive in some lines. It can also be a positional option for players, especially high level players, because when you are going into the high level chess, you can see that it's not that easy to win a game, especially in openings, because all the players, they know about these opening traps and everything. So the main problem is that it's not easy to win against your opponent in openings anymore, because it's high level chess. Usually players, they just wait for their opponents to make mistakes or blunders in middle games or end games, in the lower the later half of the game. Openings, they basically grandmasters or top players, they just choose the ones that are just the best and the most positional, or the calm, or just easy to calculate, so they can save energy for the middle games and end games. Alright, in the game, d3 was played by Magnus. b5, bishop b3, d6, c3, knight a5, bishop c2. This is the main line, of course. c5, d4, takes, and short castle. Actually, here Ding, instead of going for I'm gonna go back a little bit. Here, actually, d3, b5, bishop b3. Here, instead of going for the main line, the more common line, which is to go short castle and then d6 probably, where it will be like this: d6, h3, and something I don't know, wait a second. No, it should be c3 first, I think, and then something like knight a5, bishop c2, I think, and then c5, h3 ideas, or h3 ideas, and then d4 later on. This is also the main line as well, but what has been played in the game is also fine. Here, d6, c3, knight a5, kicking the bishop. Just to note that in the rule opus on white side, the light square bishop is a really important attacking piece, because you can see that here it puts a lot of pressure on this diagonal, on the f7 pawn especially, and even if you retreat it back to c2 later on in the game, white will always go d4 to open up this diagonal. And you can see that in the rule opus, usually in general, white attacks on the king side while black attacks on the queen side. It's reasonable for you to keep the bishop, because the bishop will be a very important attacking piece later on in the game. Alright, so let's see. c5, d4, takes, and short castle. h3 was now played, and it's actually turning back into the other line, and this is called the Morphy defense, actually. h3 is always a really useful move to prevent bishop g4, because bishop g4, like putting this pin on the knight and the queen, is always like really annoying. It's necessary for white to stop it with h3 and rook e8, d5. Here, white cannot take on, like, it's not good for white to take on e5 because there's now d takes e5. And if, let's say, white were to, first of all, you cannot take on e5 because, like, maybe it's still okay for white not losing, but already black has the initiative, or black is slightly better after queen c7, because black is much faster in development. And you can compare that by looking at white's pieces and black's pieces. You can see that black's pieces are like basically all developed already, even though white is up a pawn, but black has a huge compensation for that pawn. You can see that black's pieces are all pretty active squares, and this e4 pawn is also really like a little bit weak. Yeah, this position, I think black is doing fine, even slightly better with the initiative. And that is why in the game d5 is played instead of taking on e5. Bishop d7 was played, knight c3, queen b8. Actually, really interesting idea by Ding. Queen b8 is not like the best move actually, but the best here, like the best option, is to go queen c7. Queen b8, I assume the idea of Ding is actually to go for, like, you know, something like later on probably in the game, to first of all to get the rook to get this rook to the c file, and second of all probably later on going for this diagonal, or at least just gain control of these dark squares. Because in this position of the roll opus, I can understand that Ding is thinking that, okay, now the center is closed and there's no clear, like white is attacking, like white's attack on the king side is extremely slow, so I can just start my attack on the queen side. Why not? And this rook on e8 is not doing anything. Basically, it's not putting pressure on e4 anymore, because before, where white's pawn is still on d4, black always has the opportunity to open up the e file with e takes d4 and open up this rook's file. The rook can attack the e4 pawn, but right now there's no options like that, so the rook is actually kind of useless on e8. Let's just get it to a better file, which is the c file, and that is why he played queen b8, which is actually a pretty good move. Bishop d3, rook c8, knight e2. You can see that Magnus is also like maneuvering his pieces, but already I think black is the side who has a small advantage, positional advantage of course. First of all, black is much faster in development. Second of all, you can see that his pieces are actually pretty like active right now. This bishop on e7 now has a new route with bishop d8, bishop b6 going up to this diagonal, which is actually another idea for black that he can use in this game. Knight b7 was played. Ding here says, okay, my knight on a5 doesn't seem like it's really active, so I'm just like, if it goes to c4, I mean there's just b3, then I just has to go back to a5 or something like that. I'm not going to like make white do that. Instead, I'm going to go knight b7, going for this knight c5 square. The knight on c5 is actually really stable because white's only way to attack it with the pawn is by pushing b4, but then if white were to push b4, let's say right now, you can see that the main problem is that black has a5. There's just like b4 is not even working, and after a5, if you take, of course, this is not good because black can just even ignore you and go knight c5. This pawn is a dead pawn, so there's no, like, you're not in a hurry to take it. Don't be in a hurry. Let's say if white were to defend the e4 pawn, but now let's say black just takes it, and there are like threats of like rook a4 and everything. Black should be much better here in this position. Alright, let's go back. In the game, g4 was played. So Magnus is following the main, like the rule Lopez idea. Black attacks on the queen side and white attacks on the king side. But you can see that black is already starting to maneuver all of his pieces on the queen side, and the action is actually, like the action that black is doing is actually going really quick. Whereas for white, he is just starting to push this g pawn, and actually there's no clear way for white to really create any pawn breakthroughs or counterplay on the king side. And basically, that is what happened in the game. White find it really difficult to get into the king side and trying to defend everything that black is doing on the queen side, but in the end find it like it's just unstoppable. Like black's ideas on the queen side are just unstoppable. Knight c5, first of all, attacking the e4 pawn. White protects it with knight g3. And after knight takes d3, trading off this knight for the bishop. And after queen takes d3, there's b4. The bishop is going to b5 square and threatening this pin. So white needs to prevent it with rook. So white moves away with rook e1. And after queen b5, offering a queen trade. Actually here, queen b5 is okay, but you can also go a5. Just like leave the pieces all there, maintain the advantage. Just maintain all the pieces on the board and push your pawns on the queen side. There's nothing that white can do. b3 doesn't work because first of all, you get this, like you lose control of the c3 square. Black can get into the position with rook c3. And if white were to go, for example, something like g5 to attack on the king side, you can just actually just leave it there. You can just go bishop b5 here with like gaining a tempo. And after the queen moves, you can now get the knight to d7, knight c5. Black should be much better here in this position, or much easier to play with at least. In the game queen b5 was played, however, it's actually a more calm move. After queen b5, I think Ding is already certain that he will not lose this game. Queen b5, and after queen d1, Carlsen rejects the queen trade, but actually queen takes b5 is the best option here. But I guess after queen takes, bishop takes, there's just no way for white to win this position. White simply only has the chance to hold a draw, and for black can do all he can to win, like all he wants to in this position. He can, for example, here, let's say white first of all goes knight f5, attacking the pawn as well as the bishop, and black goes bishop f8, retreating the bishop. And if g5 was played, well, actually there's just knight h5, the knight can go to f4 on the next move, and also g6 to kick this knight away. Black should be doing completely fine. Alright, here if white were to go g5 immediately, there's just knight d7, you get this knight to the c5 square, also knight d3, and it should be fine for black. That is why in the game, Magnus didn't play queen takes b5 and instead played queen d1. But queen d1 is just like an inaccurate move, and you can see that white is still not developing his pieces on the queen side. The bishop and the rook are still on their starting squares, and white is just wasting too many moves. In the game, rook c7 was played. You can see that when white is still struggling with his own development, black is already planning to double up on the c-file and creating a really deadly attack on the queen side with a5, a4, and then b3, something like that, to create more space on the queen side. Whereas on the king side, black doesn't really needs to do anything. Like in the rule opus, basically, like in the rule opus, as for black, the king side part is basically not the side that he needs to deal with. It's white who needs to attack on the king side. But you can see that right now in this position, white basically cannot do that. It's too hard for him to launch an attack, too slow, and black is already doing what he wants to do on the queen side. Bishop e3, finally white is bringing out all of his pieces, but it's just too late. After rook a c8, gaining full control of the c-file, knight d2 was played, and after g6, b3, queen b7 back. Actually, queen b7 is, g6 here. g6 is not the best move, because you should have just played something like, actually here a very interesting idea is for black to go h5 here. The main point is that if you take with the knight, there's knight takes h5, g takes, and you lose the h3 pawn. Well, actually, you cannot take it because there's no need to. You can even here go f5, f5, f4. And if you take, you can actually just take on d5, actually is better. You can see that even though white is up a pawn here, but take a look at his pawn structures. They're just basically all separated double pawns, like isolated pawns, basically. Alright, let's go back. So h5 here is actually a really interesting move. If you take with g takes h5 immediately, there's now bishop takes h3, and white should be in a little bit of trouble. g6, b3, queen b7, and actually already after a few moves, I think white is able to equalize this position. At least by looking at the eval bar, you can see that white has equalized the position. But really, just in human eyes, looking like evaluating this position, you can still you still think that black is better. Why? Because black has a bigger space on the queen side. His pieces are placed on more convenient squares, and also basically black doesn't have any weaknesses, whereas for white the e4 pawn is a weakness, the c3 square is a weakness. And let's see what white did. He played knight c4, trying to blockade the c file. But after bishop b5, the light square bishop is able to attack the knight and it has to go back. Well, in the game, it didn't go back and played knight a5 instead, attacking the queen. Now here, queen b8 was played. If you were to go to other squares, like queen a8, for example, this will be even better for white now, because there's actually, unfortunately, bishop d2 and the b4 pawn will be hanging. And here actually black does have a small weakness that you should realize, and that is the b4 pawn, because the b4 pawn is pushed a little bit higher than other pawns, which means that this pawn needs to be in time to protect it, but right now it is being blocked by the knight. So black always needs to be alert about this b4 pawn, and that is why in the game you played Dean played queen b8 to keep control of this b4 pawn after queen d2, rook c3, a3. And already this is move 28, already in the middle game part, and actually both sides are just playing pretty normal moves. And after b takes a3, knight c6, bishop takes, queen takes, trading a lot of pieces actually. This actually needs a little bit of calculation, but you can just see that after queen a5, which was played in the game. Of course, you cannot take because you lose the queen, of course. And if you play other things actually here the best move, queen d3, it is slightly better than queen a5 because it defends the e4 pawn after all. But queen a5 is also fine, which was played in the game. This position is actually just an equalized position. Material is not even, but you can see that right now after bishop takes e4, which was played in the game, black has 7 pawns, and white has only 4 pawns, so black is up 3 pawns but down half a piece. The material is the points. The material points added together are kind of equal, but this position is still pretty complicated. And white here, not here, but white eventually made a mistake after bishop a8, queen takes a6. Now this is actually the mistake, queen takes a6. Why? Sometimes you just have to know that a pawn's material, a pawn's quantity, quantity is sometimes not as important as quality. And actually in all of these situations, quality is the most important thing. It always comes first, then quantity. Because if, for example, taking this pawn, you win some quantity, but this pawn doesn't really have any quality, because after you take, you lose time to attack and gives black the chance to go knight d5, which was played in the game. What white should have played is just to take this knight. It's a free piece, why not take it? But I think the main problem is that probably Magnus is afraid of something like queen b7, threatening queen g2 mate, but there's just king f1, and probably there's something bishop d8, for example. Now queen takes a3. This is actually a very complicated variation here. The only move for white to equalize the position is queen takes a3, and I suppose during the game both sides don't have enough time, because this is during the tiebreak, so both sides might not have enough time. And after queen after bishop d8, I think both sides calculated bishop d8, but probably Magnus didn't saw queen a3 and he thought that other moves he'll be worse. And that's probably the reason that he didn't play g takes f6 and instead played queen a6. But unfortunately, after queen a6, now after knight d5, black's pieces are now pushing further up the board onto white's into white's territory. Bishop a7 attacking the queen, but it doesn't really work. There's just queen c7, and after rook ec1 attacking the queen. Here actually Dean played queen takes c1, which was a little bit inaccurate. What he should have just played is just calmly blockade with knight c3 or bishop c6, and it should be just easily winning for him. But I think maybe, like, again, both sides don't have enough time, and Ding wanted to complicate things, and he played queen c1, and queen c1 is still fine for black. And after rook takes, king h2, bishop c6 was here played. A better option would be to take this g5 pawn here. Taking is fine, you're just taking a healthy pawn, but bishop c6 is also fine. And after queen takes a3, bishop takes g5, and after queen takes d6, here actually Magnus is just blundering after queen takes d6. And can you see how black is winning here? It's not like a tactic, but just two moves that are like ideas linked together, and it's just winning for black. The idea is to go bishop f4 first, which was played in the game by Ding. He found this idea. Now the main point is that it is pinning the knight. It is pinning the knight and the king, and threatening to like move this knight away anywhere, for example to knight e3, and threatening something like rook h1 mate. And Magnus tried to stop it with bishop c5. Like, he is threatening to go queen f8 mate, actually really tricky. But here black just simply blockades with knight e7, and here Magnus resigned the game. Knight e7 not only blockades the mating idea, but also threatens to go rook h1 mate on the next move, which is just unstoppable. And here Magnus resigned the game, and Ding won the tiebreak. This is actually a game played in 2019, like about 4 years ago or 5 years ago. It's actually played, pretty earlier, but still you can see how strong Ding is. And right now he is still really strong. It's just that sometimes, a player, they have ups and downs according to different like tournaments or depending on their mindsets. Sometimes you just play good chess and sometimes you just play bad chess. You cannot control it basically. Well, again, I just hope that Ding will will be playing the World Chess Championship in its best form against Gukesh in its best form, and I really hope that the 2024 World Chess Championship will be a very epic event that will bring joy to fans around the world. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well as this game, and please subscribe or leave comments down below to tell me if you like this video or not, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!